purpose of our meeting today is to address 3 articles in the special town meeting warrant. Everybody's here except
Marshall.
And I did send out warrants. If you don't have them, I'm going to read it anyway.
Okay.
Article 1, we have to make a recommendation on each of these. There's 3 of them. To see if the town will vote to authorize the payment of the following fiscal year 2016 bills. Said sums to be taken from free cash or take any other action in relation thereto. Apparently we missed one early on, or it came in later. And it's night oil, $161.61.
Move to recommend.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
What's night oil?
They
It's an oil
deliver
company.
oil.
Deliver oil.
They deliver oil to
They
buildings.
deliver oil.
Okay.
And it was the Board of Fire Engineers. Must have been late.
Yeah.
A building.
Heating.
Yeah.
Yeah, heating oil bill.
Heating oil.
Most of this.
$161 is pretty
Gas.
cheap.
I think they're mostly
Yeah,
gas.
it's
Or gas.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah, it could be gas.
But I think, I
Yeah.
think they have some
Right.
oil for trucks, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Second, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money to pay costs of designing, constructing, and originally equipping a new police station, and remodeling, reconstructing, and making extraordinary repairs to the town hall, and for the payment of all other costs incidental and related thereto, to determine whether this appropriation shall be raised by borrowing or otherwise, or to take any other action relative thereto. Motion?
Did you say, read the first sentence again?
To see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money to pay costs of designing, constructing, and originally equipping a new police station
Okay, so that's the whole thing, it's not just,
and town hall.
not just
It's
design.
exactly the same
It's
article.
exactly the same article.
Motion to consider.
To
Motion.
approve.
Motion to approve with
Motion to
discussion.
approve.
Second, any discussion?
I have one question. It doesn't list an amount.
It will be in the
will
article.
at the,
Oh,
just like
all right.
anything, this
Well,
is
that's what I
the,
thought,
This is
but I
the
wasn't
warning of the
sure.
this is the
inhabitants of
warning,
the town.
it's just,
Okay,
And
I
six
just,
point five will appear in the article.
okay,
and
all right.
6
That's what I
point-
thought, but I wasn't 100% sure, and it didn't say it.
Here's
it's
motion.
exactly the
Exactly the
same
same.
It's the same
article
article as it
we
was on the,
considered.
yeah. Okay, I
Will
just
it
wanted to
be,
be sure.
when the warrant is passed out at town meeting, will it be typed in?
I believe it is. It is for our motions, I know. I don't know. if
I don't
it-
know, no, because what they get is this with the recommendations.
Okay,
But at that, it is again, it cannot exceed that 6.5 million number that was the, unless they wanna go back and do another vote
Right. I
at
have to-
polls for a higher number.
Right.
they didn't do a number at the polls, let's be
Right.
clear.
They didn't do a number, but it has to
No.
be substantially
No,
the
but
same.
the issue that I
It
have.
has to be
with-
substantially the same project.
Do
Right.
we,
Correct.
do we have a copy of what was discussed in October, what was presented in October?
I do, but I don't have it with me.
Is a copy here?
I don't know, I imagine there.
Can you ask to see if the town clerk gave us a copy of the October Article 10 and how it was
It's
written?
too bad I didn't bring my whole.
If you don't mind.
I think she's probably left.
She has.
Yeah.
She's downstairs, but she isn't even upstairs.
No, she's
No,
left.
I saw her.
Maybe it's separate. She was
Take five,
on the
just
phone.
to see.
Let me take a few
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah,
see if we
I
got it.
believe it's the exact same wording.
Well, no, I don't think it is. I understand that this, you're telling me that this was what was shared to the inhabitants of the town, yet I am not convinced 100% that when we had the October town meeting, we had 2 articles, in the 9 and the 10 article.
Right.
Article 9 was the town, and the money was actually in the type version of it.
I do recall a conversation that we
Yeah.
had saying that there was no money listed here and it
There's-
would be seen later.
Right.
Let me see it.
It gets,
Take a minute, so, but it's the same, it'll be the same.
if
How
we
can,
have,
how can the FinCom, how can we approve an article without a dollar amount? Did we
We're
approve?
approving the warrant.
we're approving the warrant.
But
Approving the
we're here to
warrant.
approve the money part of it, aren't we?
Approving the warrant. That's what we do every single year as long as I've been
Okay.
doing this.
Okay,
And then the
stand down.
article is, and then it's read at town meeting, so. But it will be the same as it was.
Yeah. I have the-
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so it's what was,
Thanks, Jim.
yeah, I don't have the, but.
I'm sorry, I'm a little slow.
It should be on the, it should be on the town website.
Isn't it on 9 or 10? 9.
I'm missing page 6.
Is it on the back?
It should be on the town website.
It's on the back.
At page 6?
Yep, on the back.
Is it on there?
They were conserving paper.
It's Article 9, actually.
I agree, we just be better,
It should be 9, not 10.
You are absolutely correct, I stand corrected. There's no money in it.
But I don't know if that was a draft 4 or that was.
No, well, it's when,
No, we have a financial
The warrant,
recommendation on
the
it.
warrant is
This
issued
this
to
is what
warn
was
the
handed
inhabitants
out
of the
to-
town.
At the town
Articles
meeting.
appropriate the amount of money.
yes,
Yeah.
they
Right.
do not, because the numbers could go, if we sometimes have a placeholder number in there, that's the not to exceed, and they won't
Right.
ask for more than that. So if we
Right,
have
they
if
can't.
we say we have a fire truck or something else that we put in 500,000, on the floor, if they have a bid for 475, 501, they'll say 475, 501 at the meeting, but on the warrant,
Well, how you doing?
it would be,
You're gonna have to
Maybe
bring a
higher.
chair in or stand up.
Get a chair.
Where would I find it there?
there's one.
Well, now
Any
you're
other
a resourceful
discussion, any
fellow.
other discussion,
Um,
any other
I am
discussion from the
inclined
board?
to vote the same way I did in the fall, which was to approve. And now we know that the voters have passed the ballot question, and it's up, and it's to go to the town.
Any other
So we
discussion?
will have,
I would-
so I understand correctly, at town meeting, the amount of money that will be presented by somebody, and that will be a not to exceed amount,
It'll be 6.5 million,
not to
Not to exceed.
never is not
Never,
to exceed.
yeah, it's always,
So it's subject to,
it's how much we, up to, you can
Probably the
appropriate.
appropriation might be not to exceed, yeah. I don't know quite, I can't answer that
I
question.
thought that's what we were told, is that they
again,
come up with a figure, then it's a
Just-
not
just
to
so-
exceed
Yes,
figure.
because they can only spend.
Because we voted, the townspeople voted
Right.
on a not to exceed figure.
that's not what we said. No, the town did not.
We voted 6.5.
The town voted 6.5.
Which one you talking about, the ballot or the?
Yeah, ballot.
The ballot question, there's no money.
That's what
There's
we
no
did.
money in
All
that,
right, there's no money in the ballot question, no.
and it wouldn't have been even if.
Let's clear up the ballot question first.
Okay.
The ballot question simply is authorizing the town to override Proposition 2.5.
Correct.
Through a debt exclusion,
Correct,
for the purposes herein stated,
correct.
which is,
Mirrors the.
that's it.
Okay.
Then the town has to appropriate the money,
Correct.
which is what this warrant article does.
Okay.
And the appropriation will be 6.5. Now, does it say not to exceed? I don't know. I mean, you know, but it
It's-
is what, if it's not appropriated, I mean, if
We
it's not
can't
appropriate, you
spend it.
can't spend it. You can only vote what's appropriated. You can
Okay,
only spend
all
what's
right, I'll take
appropriated.
you with, my question
So-
first, now, what is the position of FinCom moving forward? If and when this project is approved, do we have anybody sitting at the table when they're discussing the cost of this project?
Okay.
I think, you know, as
should.
represent.
There will be, yeah, there will be a,
No, I
right
don't
now,
see
a
any
big
reason
committee,
why
there'll be
not.
a
It
different,
should
there's the
be-
building committees, there's
Yeah.
the other committees that get formed after this.
Yeah, there'll be some very
Yes,
specific.
because there'll be
But
specific
we should have,
specs
in my
and,
opinion, we should have, FinCom should have a representative at the meetings to monitor how the cost is going. I just don't want this thing to fall into the hands of people saying,
Explain what
well,
you mean a little more, Larry, because I'm
my
not,
concern is, just simply, is that we've had a $12.5 million discussion,
11.5.
$11.5 million
Yeah.
for a project,
Right.
and they cut it back to 6.5. And they basically said that was a negotiation because of the citizens petition and so on and so forth. Citizen came up with a 4.7, 4.9, whatever. Now, if we're gonna pass the 6.5, I don't wanna see it go to 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, as they say, because I think the wording, I don't wanna get caught in the trap, because the wording in this article says specific costs, and it looks to me a little too open-ended. I'm not comfortable with it.
well, it is open-ended to the extent that you don't have open-ended, up to 6.5. It's a $6.5 million appropriate. If you spend more,
We have to then go
You go
back to the
town.
voters to ask for
If you're- if
either
you just
money
determine-
from free cash or money
But
from another
we're not
fund.
big into this building center, I understand that, we don't do a lot of this thing, so it's new to me.
Yeah.
And I've been on this committee for a while, but I've never been a part of a major capital
No, I haven't
expenditure
either.
that is basically subjected to, some variances that can come up in the process. Now, if we buy a fire truck, well, it's more or less pretty much a box.
Yeah.
But this thing seems to be a little bit on the open-ended side. And I think that we have a fiduciary responsibility to be aware to call it a halt if it gets a little too out of control. I don't know how you do that.
Am I correct in my understanding that after this is approved at the 6.5, that would be factored into the design, and that anybody bidding for design would have to design it to that parameter?
Or if
You
that's
work with
cause the
that.
bid, yeah, cause that's the thing,
You have
the
to
next
work
part
with
is the
that.
bid,
They
and
have
if
to-
they can't
Yeah.
do what we need
if
for
there's an
six
issue, you
point
have to come
five,
back to the town.
then it's gonna come, then we may not even find someone out there that is willing to do this whole project scope for that number.
When we did the high
Yeah,
school
that's how
project
it's
in Newburyport, right, the numbers came in high. There are two ways to approach that. One of the first things we did was value engineering. We take a look at every single thing, and you might change tile on the walls to simply the concrete block in the wall, save $100,000. You might change stainless steel lavatory to painted lead. I mean, you can do some value engineering to bring the cost in line with, what it is. If not, if you still find you're gonna to do what you wanna do, then you gotta go back to the town. That's how I would, if I was representing FinCom, that's how I would
But
handle
you
it.
mentioned going back to the town, and what do you mean by going back to the town?
You have to
We
have
have to
another
go back for another appropriation.
Another town meeting.
Well, I'm not sure that's the case. Another town meeting?
Yeah.
Or do they come to say we have free cash that we can use?
Free cash can only be used by the town.
Even.
So it won't be coming to FinCom
No, the
for
only
approval?
thing we can approve.
Well, it could come,
only-
anything that would come to the town has to come here first.
The only thing they could ask us for is something out of reserve fund. To say,
Yeah,
but
and we
then
only
again,
have
that's kind of outside of the parameters of reserve
Which
fund,
would
and there's
be-
only
Okay.
$100,000 in there.
My concern is duly noted. I think
Right.
that the only thing
Yeah.
I wanna do is make sure that we have,
I
I don't
understand.
wanna get this information second, third hit, oh, by the way, we're now moving from 6.5 to 9.5 because we had this problem.
No, we
I don't
can't.
think
Never
we
happen.
can, I don't think we
That
can
way.
do that, I don't
It'll
think they
never
can do
happen.
that.
Well,
Frank, please,
never
don't
say never.
Never say never,
But I
but
don't believe, I think if it's appropriated for 6.5, it was my understanding that that's as high as they can go unless we go back unless they go
Unless
back
we
to
go-
the
That's how
town
I understand.
at a town meeting and ask for $2 million
Additional
funds.
because we need it for
Yeah,
blah,
it's
blah,
a
blah.
Right, and
procedural
again-
question.
Yes,
They
sir.
go back to the town again. Do they need 2/3?
we need
I
2/3,
believe so.
yes.
Well, I think we're skating on thin ice. I don't know whether or not, if they ask for another $2 million, does it need 2/3 town approval for it? Or does it just need majority?
I can't answer that, it's a legal question, but I would assume
Yeah.
it's 2/3.
Let's not assume anything.
Well,
Okay?
I
Let's
don't
ask-
have
Then
the
we can't-
answer.
then we
Let's
can't
ask,
answer.
who can we ask to know?
Ginny,
Who?
Ginny.
Ginny Kramer, but
Yeah.
she's probably not here.
But we can ask that question later.
If we could ask to see what the story is for, just subsequent capital outlay, because we get capital requests coming
Right.
to capital
Mhm.
plans. We've bought equipment and things of that nature, we've gone up to a couple $100,000, it goes to the town because it has to come out of free cash and things of that nature. I understand that, I'm just curious, and usually most of those capital expenditures are not 2/3 required. It's simple majority required. And that's all I'm saying, is that, just the way.
Anything you take out of stabilization is 2/3.
Right, that's our 2/3.
That's true.
Right.
But free
And
cash is
that's-
not.
No, free cash
cash
is
is
a different,
majority.
is a different.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have that kind of free cash.
No, but if say that what they, so
You might.
maybe, yeah, so maybe it came to the point where if it was gonna be $500,000 and we had $750,000 in free cash,
Yeah.
again, that
Yeah.
could be asked
Yeah.
for, but we
Depends
can't,
on where
this
we
group,
would make the
this
decision.
group, yeah, this group can't, so we can't spend free cash. The
Right.
only thing that we can approve outside of the voters at town meeting is what's in the reserve fund. And those are there to be used, if it's not used at the end of the year, it goes out to free cash. So we're
Right.
never, we need to be fiscally responsible, but understanding that this project is, at this point in time, is substantially, it is the same items up for a vote with, as in October.
You would agree that there are people in town who would prefer to spend a bigger amount than the 65. Would you say?
There,
Can I interrupt a minute?
but that
Interrupt.
doesn't,
Hold on, we know that. But the project
doesn't include the fire station.
is defined
It's,
by the override and by this.
Okay.
So you
Yeah.
can't go build a $11.5 million public safety complex including town hall, cause it's
Right.
not authorized.
it's, right, it's the,
That's what
it's the,
you know.
I think
it's
it's
the
all
police
right.
station and town hall, it makes no mention of anything for fire, so we
All right.
can't go
We
beyond
ready
that.
for- We ready to make the recommendation? All those in favor? Okay, anyone opposed?
Aye.
Says one opposed, okay. 2, 4,
How many
6,
other of us?
and one opposed.
6
Okay. All right, Article 3, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $67,000 from free cash. And this requires only the majority vote to pay for the design and construction services for a new pump station and force main servicing the fire station located on Morgan Avenue. Or take any other action relative thereto. I think we all know there are issues with.
What's
Pump
the,
station?
yes,
It's
Is it the
Sewage.
sewage?
It's the sewage.
That's what I
High
thought, but
pressure
it was
sewage.
it just
Yeah.
kept saying pump, and I'm thinking,
Get that.
it's a fire station. Do they need, I didn't.
it's the sewer,
never-
it's
Do we have a
the,
motion? Let's have a motion.
a motion to recommend,
Second.
Second.
okay, discussion.
Second.
So what is the,
It's,
Right.
it's for the sewage thing,
Yeah, it's a connection to the.
yeah.
okay,
shoreline.
This is going to be to go out to bid for it? You're gonna ask for design, and this is
Did
gonna
you
be,
say free cash?
Yes.
this is gonna be the premise for what we go out to get somebody to bid on the project, we have to develop the specs.
Yeah.
How much did we spend to spec town hall?
it came in less than what the project.
No, the project
Yeah.
came in less.
Project came in less.
I'm talking about the pre-engineering piece of it.
I don't know.
I know the project came in around $350,000.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot
I thought
less
it was
than
gonna be a
that.
lot
Right.
more.
I'm just saying, just curious, as to 67 for the design, and then the project's on top of it, and it's just to extend the line from where it resides right now, which is at the head of the parking lot, down the back of the police station, into the fire station domain with a pump station attached to it, I guess that's it. And also, can we also discuss whether or not the new police station will be included on that line?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I thought they said it would, but I don't know that.
You
I
know,
don't know why
It's a
I'm
good point,
thinking
but it's
that.
now gonna be a separate building.
Right.
We don't wanna
Yeah, but it's
come
gonna
back.
be over.
Yeah, but we want to have one line extended from its present location to both the fire station.
I don't know the technicalities of any of this.
And I don't know if we can approve,
So,
I don't know if that's a,
but we're not approving that piece, we're approving the design and construction services for that.
Who would know?
Sam Johnson.
Sam, I would say Sam.
I would like to make sure that
Yeah.
the extension of the line from its present location at Town Hall to the new building called the fire station and to the new constructed police station is all the same line extension, one project, not two.
Should be able to do that, but I would wanna be sure as well.
You know, I don't know, because your fire station is probably would be hooked in sooner.
Right.
We have a, we have
Because
that
they're,
in
I mean,
Danvers.
they have an issue right now, I
And
think.
a pump station.
Well, they have a septic issue, but of course, when we grab that property, they have an issue, that they do.
Yeah.
But they're not running any functions there right now.
No.
See, that's the thing, they're not running any functions that require, like a function hall, they're not renting that out anymore to wrestling competition or something. That's gonna put a number of people in there that will overtax their existing septic system.
And occasionally, I've seen some large groups there, like the fishermen, or I don't know, something.
Well, but again, I mean, I think that's now up to the town of Newbury to decide whether they go in there, not the fire department. And I think under the context of saying, you know, do we have a statement from Board of Health that they're condemning their present septic system? You know, I mean, how urgent is this thing?
That's,
I'm sorry to be a pain in the ass.
No,
It's okay. Somebody's
It's
gotta
okay.
be,
Right.
somebody's, but, and with all due respect, Larry, you had this a week ago, and you should have asked those questions early on. Maybe we could have gotten the answers before we sat here and didn't have the answers.
Criticism well taken.
Okay.
Oh, Larry,
I'm not, I'm just being kind. I thought that was kind.
I would think Sam would know about the extension.
Yeah.
because I
Is
think
he next one?
He oversaw
Oh.
the septic system, or the
Yeah.
current
Yeah.
Well, just a
connection.
operational.
We should check on it.
Before town meeting.
Yeah,
Well,
so we know.
They
That
should
was-
tell us.
It's a very good question, and we should have the answer for it at the town meeting. All right, let's move forward with the vote. All those in favor, say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? There's a vote. Anything else to come before the board? Nothing that I can see on my
The other two are. The other two are.
The other two are will of the town. They're not even related to us. Personnel
the
board,
personnel
Human
board is
Resources
fine.
board, and the other one is related to the personnel
Yeah, it's
board,
fine.
so they're not,
I don't think we have to vote on those,
No, those
they're
are.
not ours.
except as town members.
Yeah, that's correct.
I had a question in terms, and which probably will go, I can email it to Tracy, is are they proactively thinking of any way to do paper ballot votes on Article 2?
I have a little information on that.
Okay,
Yes, there is a move to, from what I understand, to go to an electronic vote. And, my understanding is, do you know anything about this?
I know that Leslie was
Yeah, Leslie's working on
on
it,
the phone
and,
with
and
them
we
quite a
would
while
be,
today.
this special town meeting would be, a way for us to test this. And what, as I understand, what it involves is you're checked in, everyone's given an electronic device, and they vote yes or no.
Really?
On each question, it's recorded, and then at the end of that, it's tallied. So that it
Really?
provides for probably one of the most accurate count. Because I know there was
Yeah,
some
last time that
questions
was horrible.
raised
That was,
around how that, and,
That was
you know,
poorly
when you
done.
have 400 people, it's a difficult thing to do.
Exactly.
I've done it, and it is
Exactly.
difficult, because you,
Well, but
you
you
get
can't
by a
see.
row and then all of a sudden somebody stands up, you know, or whatever, so.
Yeah.
but
No, I
think
agree.
this-
I
So
agree.
this is what's in the works.
but everybody would get a button as opposed to just walking up with a sheet of paper and
That's right, it's fast.
putting it,
Is this something we'd have to contract out for?
probably.
I think from my understanding, this would sort of be allowing us to use
The
this.
beta, a beta
a
thing?
beta type of.
Right, to try it out, to see if it's something.
That's a good idea.
You know, and when you have a large gathering, it's the easiest way to do it. And with electronics today, you can do it.
Yeah, this would be the same thing that trainers and pollsters use in a classroom or a big venue to record the vote on the screen too. You press a button and the vote gets recorded up on the screen.
Yeah.
Everybody can see who voted
Well,
yes
you
and
know
who
what the
voted
other
no.
thing too is that when you have to stand up and be counted, I think there are a lot of people that won't even stand up because they don't want people to know what they really think.
It makes it a silent, you know, ballot.
It just, you don't wanna have people go,
Confidential.
oh, that one did it that way and that one did it that, you know,
Well,
it could
this
hurt
is-
you.
This is probably
As a business person in this town, I gotta be real careful about
yeah,
what I say and what I do, because it could affect my livelihood.
vote your conscience,
I always do.
I know, so.
It's that Irish in
All right,
me, you
any
know?
other business?
yes.
Are you open to comments? Excuse me, you
Just
open for comments
in
from
about
the
1
audience?
second. Yeah.
Excuse me.
So, at our last meeting, we talked about the fire trucks and tires.
Yes.
I did contact those folks and got some information on both trucks and tires. I have somebody actually coming down from Michelin who is going to review the fire truck tires for us. It turns out that the people with trucks use the tires and recap them one time
Mhm.
for the truck, and actually recap them twice, but the second time is on the trailer. And they run about 5 years, but then that's with 2 recaps and a lot of miles. Their trucks run 450,000 miles or 5 years, and then they move them out, but they're running a lot. So in hours, he said he didn't have any information on what a fire truck would be, but we can look at the hours that the fire trucks are out. They should be logged in and out. And that, it amounts to roughly 20,000 hours per truck.
So is this capital planning is engaging in doing this through Nate, I assume? Or?
I'll talk to Nate. I'm just doing it, yeah.
Yeah, you need
I
to.
think just moving forward, I mean, we were given the proposal
We
last
really
week, which
wanted-
we approved, and said,
Yeah.
let's reshoe them all.
Yeah.
And we'll now address that. One of the gentlemen who was on that article that recommended there's no scientific evidence was a Michelin representative.
Oh, really?
I'll let you know that the company that was involved in that study, it's just from the degradation point of view. But at 25,000, you know, it wasn't a major capital expense necessarily, not to say every expense is capital, but given the whole concept of not knowing what the inspection criterion was, it's a good place for us to say we took a recommendation and we acted.
And every tire is.
But also, all of those vehicles are garaged, so it's
Right.
not like they're out,
Right.
you know, you got a big, huge truck that's out in the weather and the sun and all that 24/7, but these are all housed in a protected area, so that has to be
There's other factors.
sort of a positive thing for them, I would think.
When I talked to the guy, and he volunteered to come down and take a look at all of the tires. And what these people have is they come on a monthly inspection of all of the tires on all of the trucks. They look at the sidewalls, measure the tread, measure the tire pressures as part of their contract with
That
the
would have
trucking
to be
company.
included in the specs when they go out
Wow.
to bid.
Yeah.
They have estimates, I think, from Sullivan Tire, was it?
They have to get them from Sullivan Tire because they have the state contract.
Oh, they're going through the state contract, so.
Yeah,
That's
what they have to
that's
go.
for the cost.
Yeah.
The other element that seems to be percolating out there, whether it's in our domain or not, is that they're going to have to up the ante on maintenance inspections of all vehicles.
Yeah.
Not just tires, but as a whole host of things.
Right.
And there's some software packages out there that are now basically going to be under consideration, that they can duly record these things, not just doing them, but recording it. And it's very extensive, and I think that as we in the town move forward, that's what we're gonna have to demand of the people that are in the station day in, day out, not just sitting there having a cup of coffee, but they have some very concrete responsibilities, and that's the Board of Fire Engineers through
That
the
would be
fire
the Board of
chief.
Fire Engineers.
Yeah, but I mean,
Domain, really.
Yeah, and
But
so.
it's good to know that that's something they should and could be doing.
So I'll try and find more
That'd be
information.
nice to know, but I mean, I'll email you the article, but I was very suspect.
Michelin.
Was a contributing member of that study. Even though I don't think, you know, I read it and I said, well, we don't have to do it, then I thought after the fact, and I said, it's a good thing to do. Just do it and we'll worry about it next year.
Well, at least if you're gonna have a base
Yeah.
to start with,
I
okay?
think that's important.
The mileage on every truck,
And
the
again,
mileage on
we're
every
talking
tire,
about vehicles
the
that are
condition.
safety vehicles,
yeah.
good place to start.
We have
God
big
forbid
bigger
if you're
fish
on
to
your
fry
way-
than tires when it
Yes.
comes to
Yeah,
fire
really.
department equipment. And that's basically
That's
on the
true.
We're waiting for the
longevity.
CPC's report on that.
We haven't got anything requested.
Okay.
But you know, right now, we heard verbally presented that they're under consideration for speccing out 2 vehicles, a new pumper and a new ladder truck. And, you know, we haven't pre-set, and the concept behind that is that they would say that they have to be replaced based upon the study. What realistically, somebody's gotta do.
Let's wait till we get it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's too late, see, that's the problem. We wait till they come to us and say, here's what we need, and no one says, why do you need it? And say, well, the study said we need it. Somebody says, well, who said that's the way to go? And somebody's gonna say, is it valid, that's all.
Yeah, that's a
Right,
good.
right.
well,
No,
that's-
it's true, I mean,
But if
just.
there's nothing before us,
You're right.
If the study was for
Nothing
vehicles
before
that
us.
have 250,000 miles on them, but these vehicles have 50,000 miles on them, there's a big difference in wear and tear.
That's not the way the study goes.
Well,
I know, but.
The study is
let's
the
be-
purview
let's
of
be-
more, first and foremost, I think
Read it and
CPC.
weep.
Let's be practical.
Well, that's a nice get out.
That's why we have CPC,
It's true.
so we don't have to deal with those.
It's true. I like that,
Coming
Gina.
up, not tomorrow, the next day we'll bring it up. Thank you, Jim.
Anything else? Jim, did you wanna have a comment?
Yeah, so you open for a few comments?
Sure.
And these comments have to go to Article 2. And I see this as the voters to make an informed decision should have good information in front of them. My first question is, do you have the cost breakdown of the $6.5 million between the two buildings?
That was presented,
Cost breakdown?
Cost that-
No,
no.
I don't think they have one.
No, they don't have one,
No.
because it was not,
we do not have, I've
No.
never seen a
That's-
cost breakdown.
no.
I think you guys did that analysis when you proposed the 4.7, because that was fire station only. And that was at a you had come in with
You mean
8,000.
police station.
Police station, you came in with 8,000 square foot at $500 a square foot, and you kind of rounded up to $4,700, is that correct?
Yes, I heard that.
So there was
Something like that.
two,
Yeah.
two presentations.
No, I understand, but what
But yeah,
the-
in that order of magnitude.
Okay, so I would assume, if you said that it was in the, so let's say for the sake of discussion, it's just shy of 5 million, then the 1.5 would go to, is what it would go towards the town hall.
My understanding, the best information I've seen in the past year is it's 5 million for the police station and 1.5 for the town hall.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
think
But I would
Could be.
think the voters should have that in their hands. That's just-
Until you get the final
Until you get-
information.
and exactly which things get under both.
Correct.
Now,
Yeah.
I guess although I'm asking them one more question. The gross size of the building of the police station, in my mind, from what I've seen, is 10,000 square feet.
Right.
I think that is considerably oversized, and I don't know if the town can substantiate. And how was that determined, and how is that being substantiated?
After any appropriations have been approved by the town, there will be a committee that will be put together to work on the design specifications. Nothing about that level of detail has been determined at this point in time. And to come across in any way that says that the town has decided it will be one way or another is not completely accurate at this point in time.
No, I'm not, what I am saying is the town has put in writing, through the municipal building committee, a standalone police station for 10,000 square feet.
But it's
But that
not,
was
it's
one
not a
of the big ones.
spec, it's not a spec project yet. It was.
I
for-
understand the process in the future.
Right,
I'm just trying to get a breakdown so the voters can understand that.
Correct.
I believe I'm very intimate with the process, I've been into it for a long time. I also believe that many of you voters don't understand what they're voting on.
Well, you may be correct, but they did vote overwhelmingly at the October meeting for the 6.5. We came within 8 votes of a 2/3 majority, if you
Absolutely.
understand that
Yeah.
correctly. And the premise of the citizens petition, as you know, was the fact that they're saying that the town fathers were not listening to the voters of the town. And at an overwhelming majority, people voted for Article 9. Article 10 came up, which was the alternative, and they voted that substantially the other way. So I do believe in the proper analysis of the votes, which is the will of the town. There's no question in my mind that Article 9 and the 6.5 overwhelmingly was what they wanted to do.
Yes.
Now, you
Pretty
may
clear.
contend that they don't know what they're voting for, but that's a different argument. You have to admit that 6.5 won almost a 2/3 majority.
I won't argue with that. I'll continue that conversation into the vote in November, which effectively says that half the people in town want one thing and the other half don't. That's crystal clear, and that vote, in my mind, with 4,000 people, is much more definitive than a 400 people vote.
Correct,
with the
but
special town.
I agree with
More than
that,
half.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. My feeling was is that the fathers who put the Constitution together with the town meeting, that we had, if we were gonna take on debt, we needed 2/3 majority, and I agree with, that was the standard. When they passed Proposition 2.5, and then they said 2.5 came in, we have two questions on the same issue, both basically saying approve or not approve. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, you can interpret, there's no question that we finally got a victory at the ballot, that's it, there's no argument. If it's one vote, We lost, I think, when we went for the first one, by probably less than.
Eight or 10 votes,
Yeah,
something.
I don't know what the, you know, so it's so close. I agree.
Three votes on that
But
question
I
a year
agree with
ago.
85% of the town voting
Yes.
in the November election, and having them and voting for the Proposition 2.5 override, that's done, over. And I think that they know what they're voting for. We've had so much discussions on the subject, and people like yourself and your committee have marshaled a lot of input in this. They do. And it backs up my feeling. We knew at a town meeting when 260 some odd people voted for it, and 128, we missed it by 8, and I kind of feel what this committee feels, that when we got up and counted, I'm not sure that it was that much different. You know, I thought there was some fluff in the way it was, you know? So I agree, you can make the case that, you know, to say that you disagree with it, but I can't say you make the case they don't know what they're voting for.
Any other discussion?
That's my personal opinion.
The buck 75 Dunkin' Donuts get you another coffee.
Any
Bring
other,
the sugar.
any other
No sugar.
discussion?
What are you, diabetic too?
Good God almighty, you had to put that on TV, didn't you?
Let me
just
can I make one further comment, Gene?
Jeez.
Okay, okay.
It's only because
This is supposed to be a 5-minute meeting.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna further this with the board,
Yeah.
that if in fact it is too much money, there'd be $1 million more spent in capital expenditures, there'd be $450,000 in interest, and over the next 20 years, there would be another at least $50,000 in operating maintenance. So it's conceivable that if they go this route and they vote it in fact, as they do build this 10,000 square foot building, and if it is too big, it could cost the voters $1.5 million over the next 20 years.
Yeah, that's
There will
true.
be
If you want to go back to cost, Jim, if we had gone back and gotten this done and done the municipal building committee, we would be out of this place, which is costing us at the level of $5 million today for being in this building. We would be on our way to doing something that, in fact, then and now would be the most cost-effective route for the town. Because when we get through with this, more stuff is coming down the pike, and you can be guaranteed.
And just an
And we won't
addendum.
have the efficiencies that we would have with a total municipal building, and you know that.
Right, the most cost-effective solution was taken off the table this fall by the Board of Selectmen. So at this point, we are operating with the proposals that have been put in
That's
front
an
of us.
opinion, that's an opinion.
But that
I
was-
agree with you, I think that
that
the town,
we-
knowing the will of the town, there's
Right.
no question, the most conservative town in Essex County is what we're in. And they don't like to spend any more money on their taxes than anybody, even though they may have a low tax, they don't. And I agree that it's a monumental uphill climb to get any Proposition 2.5 approved, period. And we've never done it other than for a school, ever, that I recall.
And some fire.
We got road improvement.
That was a 2.5 over.
There was one.
Just to clarify, this is not,
And the roads.
this is not a
The roads.
2.5 override, this is debt exclusion.
Well, it's an override
It's-
debt exclusion.
It's
Yeah, well,
still,
sorry,
you
you're
know,
right.
It's still an override.
You're right. But I think, you know, that's my opinion. I firmly believe we shouldn't have to go through this two-thirds thing every time. I
Right.
don't like it.
And as to that concern, I feel the chief fairly effectively argued that the building wasn't oversized and that if it was, it was.
His
No,
argument
he's-
couldn't get to 8,000 square feet on the
That's
floor.
right.
That
Yes,
argument was with
yes,
me.
yes.
In fact, as Eric came up and
Yes,
told me
that's
my
right.
numbers were wrong, and 2 days later, after the meeting, I emailed him what I had, and it's his report of 3 pages that tells you that that's a 10,000 square foot building. But the fire chief, if you go back to Mike, he could not get 8,000 square feet.
Please,
He
chief.
was fumbling around in 7,000 numbers.
Right, he said 7,500, he
Time
could
out.
live with
Let's not-
7,500.
let's-
again,
Okay.
that is
Let's
going
go
to be
ahead.
for the specs
That's-
of the
Is there
project
a
if it
motion
ever
to
gets
adjourn?
approved.
There is a motion to adjourn, do I hear a
Motion.
second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.